Welcome to Pedantic Cast, the Brandon Sanderson Pedantic Cast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news discussion and, of course, a whole lot of pedantry about Brandon Sanderson and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and we have lots of pedantry for you today because we're going to talk about the Hemalurgy Table. And we have assembled the finest group of pedants in the fandom. And the king of them all is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter.
Also joining me, no slouch in pedantry, with a god ray above his head is Evgeni.
Hi, I am Argent, and I am once again in Preservation's Perpendicularity, which is right out there.
Yes.
That's the Whale of Ascension.
That's
what
right.
A location.
Coming back for us for many, many months. He's back from the dead. It's David.
Yeah. I know, I'm back from Shadesmar. Yeah, no. I'm Windrunner on the forums, and I'm here.
Also, are we not going to say what he called Evgeni?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah, so...
I was hoping we could move on.
David also earlier called Evgeni Evgeni, and I feel like we need
it
to
was in
know
my
this.
head for many, many years.
That's not even how the letters go in the name, dude.
No. So in I expect you guys expect a reaction from me, but this version of my name, I hear that so often.
Evgeni is part of the Avengers. Evgeni.
When I meet people who I wouldn't expect to pronounce my name correctly, I most often get Evgeni than anything else.
Depressing, because I would think either Evgeni or Evgeni, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
No, I almost never get Evgeni.
What?
It's Evgeni and Evgeni in this order.
It looks like a soft G to me when I read the word.
Well, I think that's, that's much more understandable to pronounce it as a soft G, but it's GE, not EG.
Yeah.
Eric, when you see a new word, you just dive in. You don't read the letters in the order they appear. You just...
And also joining me, the commenters have not forgotten the pedanticness of Matt.
Or Comatose on the forums.
You remember that half shard episode? It was really, yeah. People are still like, wow, this episode wasn't as pedantic as that half shard episode. Yeah, they still talk about that episode as like, I don't know about this.
There was a lot of passion in that episode. Odium was with us.
All right, guys.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, right. All right, guys, we are going to the Hemalurgy Table. Imagine like that Inception sound as we go into log mode. All right, guys, we have the Hemalurgy Table. It's here, finally. I'm pretty pumped. And you know what? Do we even need to talk about the first, half of the table? Because I don't care about that, because we know all that stuff. Like with...
You don't care about the human attribute?
With like the iron and steel.
If I can say one thing about the mental, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Just quickly, one thing I saw being discussed on the Discord is the discussion of copper. Because it says steel's mental, fortitude, memory, and intelligence. And there's some debate, I think, whether it steals all three of those things, or if it's just like being descriptive of like the one thing that it does steal. Or if, placement affects, if it's stealing memory or intelligence or mental fortitude. Like the Chondra spike, I think, is described as mental fortitude. But
true.
Yeah.
That's the blessing.
Yeah. My take is it's just describing that concept of mental fortitude and what it includes. But there has been some people wondering if it's like three different attributes.
So
that's an interesting point.
Does tin enhance all senses or just one per?
That was my question. Like that was my immediate thought was how tin works in Feruchemy is tin is all separated out. Right. You need a different metal mine for
But in
smell and
Allomancy, it's
taste
not.
and-
But in
Yeah.
Allomancy, it's not.
Yeah, but don't the
Yeah.
Chondra get generally enhanced senses when they?
I
when
think
they
it's
get their little
generally
tin
enhanced
spike?
because isn't that the blessing
Yeah.
of presence, right?
That's
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is.
that's right.
So
The-
that's
the Chondra
generally
blessing
just-
enhances
you
all
get-
all
yeah,
senses.
you get all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, but the kind of weird thing with the Chondra blessings is, isn't Brandon implied that they don't know how to make new, like they can't, like they don't know how to make, or they don't know the process by which Chondra blessings
Yeah,
were
it's like
constructed?
specially created by the Lord Ruler.
Yeah,
They just have a stockpile, and
Yeah.
whenever a Chondra dies, they take the spikes, and same with the Colossus.
Mhm.
They do not reuse Candra spikes. They do not.
Oh, they
reuse
can't
them.
reuse Candra spikes because
Yeah.
they Tensoon put a spike in Relure in Bands of Mourning, and
But
Relure,
but that is while they were both
right.
still alive.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There I think in the during the Lord Ruler's time, I do think Tensoon mentions that the Lord Ruler, when he was living, would periodically drop off
spikes.
a bunch new spikes, or
Yeah.
his servants would drop off the
Yeah, yeah,
spikes
yeah,
to make
yeah,
the next
yeah.
generation.
Yep.
Yeah,
But- for sure.
I do think that the reason they don't reuse the spikes of dead Candra is a cultural thing more than anything else.
Yeah, because
That
they're
could
probably
very much
connected
be it,
because they
yeah.
feel connected to that Chondra,
Yeah,
So based on Tin, then Copper might steal all of those things,
Yeah.
intelligence, memory, and
yeah.
maybe I don't know. I feel like mental fortitude does not necessarily include memory or intelligence, though. Like that doesn't sound like a description of what mental fortitude is to me, because you can have strong mental fortitude and be a dumb person, or not be,
And
or
memory
not, or have a bad
very
memory.
distinct.
so maybe it's just more broad than we initially thought, or than we saw from the blessings. Maybe it's what it's taking is more broad.
Yeah, I think you can probably do a lot more with the human attribute, or with the human attribute spikes, than I think that we know, because those
Sorry.
seem to be the
Yeah.
ones that they use to make constructs as opposed to grant powers.
Sorry, my apologies. It appears that it's the blessing of awareness that's Tin, not the blessing of
Yes.
presence. My apologies.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
presence is the mental fortitude, right?
Yeah,
No, I think
that's
it's emotional fortitude.
No, I think that-
Stability is
No,
mental
no.
it's
fortitude.
copper.
Really?
Stability is emotional.
Yeah,
Oh,
stability is
damn.
emotional.
Which does seem
So
similar,
blessing of
so.
presence, that's the one Tensoon had, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of-
So
yeah.
he has
Yeah,
copper
one of
spikes.
them.
He has these. The one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a something to be said that the blessings are specific, but when you steal these human attributes, if you made a Colossus out of copper spikes, that could be totally different, right?
I
it
don't
would
think
be
you
for
could
sure.
make a Colossus.
Yeah.
Well,
Copper spikes.
You're right, but I don't know.
You'd make something else.
yeah,
here's
it'd be
here's
something
my
different.
question. Maybe.
Really.
Definitely.
One of the things we don't know is whether the blessings for the Chondra and the spikes that go into making a Colossus are irregular hemalurgic spikes, in the sense that we can look at the table and we can go, well, we know that this Chondra has copper blessings, therefore they must hold this thing that we are seeing in the table, or whether blessings and Colossus spikes are somehow different from, because the table concerns itself with the creation of inquisitors.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the
the
bindings.
image in the center, yes. The
Mhm.
descriptions of what each metal does is generic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yes.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't-
It's talking
they
about
don't use
buying
those
coins
spikes
to
to-
make a Steel Inquisitor.
Generic, yes. I don't know if it's conclusive.
I don't
Oh,
think they use
definitely
these
not.
attributes to make inquisitors ever,
Yeah.
unless maybe it's, I don't know, what is the bind, or what is the linchpin? Oh, that's steel, so it's not even.
Well, we'll
Anyway,
we'll talk about that.
We do have it says explicitly in the text that you may use iron spikes to make Colossus, and it's specifically the human strength that that they're charged with. So
Yeah.
it's not like they're outside of this chart.
Yeah, I think Cola spikes are just baseline, whatever, iron spikes, and then Chondra could be something a little different, but because we don't really get,
because
what
there's
that
some
is, but-
apparently some special thing that you got to do, right?
Okay, with
Yeah.
Colossus, I think I can accept that they're just spikes.
Yeah.
Conjure Blessings, it feels like there's more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's
for sure.
absolutely something more.
For sure. Remember when I was like, hey, let's talk about the new thing, but then we got distracted. Hey, what's up? That's going to be this podcast in the nutshell. All right.
Yeah.
The new things, brand new. We know that stuff. We know this stuff on the top here, but we didn't know this stuff on the bottom. And so we're going to talk about the temporal metals, which is well, let's read the abilities first before we talk about that name. They're labeled temporal.
Ability.
Yeah, right. Cadmium steals temporal allomantic powers. Bendalloy steals spiritual ferrochemical powers. Gold steals hybrid ferrochemical powers. Electrum steals enhancement allomantic powers. And in the next quadrant for hemalurgy things, which we'll talk a lot more about, those don't steal like specific allomantic or ferrochemical abilities, and all of the stealing of allomancy and ferrochemy is all in this quadrant. And so it's in this lower half of the table, right? It's kind of split. In the upper half, you have, the physical metals, half steal human attributes, half steal, powers,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So the top of the chart, the base metal steals an attribute, the alloy steals an ability.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's the first half is allomantic, the second half is ferrochemic within each option. So I absolutely hate that this does not follow that.
Well,
I do. I had a whole prediction laid out where it was going to continue following that pattern, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and I guess it just doesn't. I don't know.
Mhm.
Hemalurgy does different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, even in the temporal one, even if it's a different scheme, there's not a lot of consistency alloy.
No.
Because Bendalloy and gold deal with ferrochemy, and cadmium and electrum deal with allomancy. So there's
true.
not even an internal pattern there. If you were following the if you were doing in that section, alloy for allomancy, base element for allomancy, alloy for ferrochemy, that would still be a pattern that follows the kind of push-pull concept. I not that comes up a lot out of allomancy anyway, but there's not a lot of pattern for these four.
Maybe that's why they didn't end up making it a table, because it wouldn't really
Yeah, it's not like the placement of the metals is particularly special, I guess. On the table. The placement of the metals matters quite a lot in Hemalurgy.
And I guess the other thing we need to remember about the placement is Brandon's always maintained these are in-world creations to help people understand the magics.
Right.
And so there might actually be
Somewhere
out there a better way of organizing hemalurgic powers with the metals, but this is the best that the in-world people could come up with.
So upper left in the table, iron, steel, tin, pewter. Iron, steel, tin, pewter.
Yep.
Bolded, pushing metals are bolded, so steel and pewter are pushing.
Usually the alloy is the push,
Alloy's
and
always the push.
and the element is the pull.
Yeah. And external metals have been italicized. That's iron.
Yep.
And steel.
Yep. Yeah, in the upper quadrant, the alloys steal powers, but it's not even consistent with internal. The internal alloy steals ferrochemy. That just not. That just isn't a thing, right? So in some sense, it isn't perfect anyway. So hemalurgy could have some other structure that we don't know yet, right?
Yeah.
And the ferrochemy
or not have a structure at all.
That's what I lean towards.
The ferrochemy table also broke away from the pattern that allomancy established too. I think part of this is probably both us as readers and the people in the world. Allomancy is the magic system most people are most familiar with. Right. So it's kind of we're trying to fit these two others into the template that works best for allomancy.
And I remember Brendan talking about during the design process for the Furukami table is he had to tell Isaac, like, you're thinking too much like an Allomancer.
Right.
This is something different.
Right. And
so there are some patterns in there, but neither ferrochemy nor hemalurgy fit as neatly into these internal, external metal alloy as allomancy does.
Right.
And to a certain extent, it makes sense that Ruin, the one who breaks down everything, is also breaking down that
Screw
pattern.
your template.
Yeah.
I guess. So there is one nice thing about this quadrant. It's that we have canonized that one of the things that has annoyed me for Hemalurgy for years, gold steals ferrochemical hybrid powers. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Bingo.
This is super important for Inquisitors, right? Because like then they can use the spike as a gold mine to store healing, right?
Well, I remember like there was a lot of theories before Hero of Ages came out about what the different spikes did and how Hemalurgy worked in general. Yeah. And one of the things at least I was surprised by when that book came out is that it seemed like Pewter stole like the healing ability because we knew the Inquisitors could heal like Feruchemist.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of us, I think, felt like, wait, but if the Inquisitors don't have like a gold spike because there's no reason to have it, where are they storing their health? Like we never see them with gold mines anywhere on their bodies. We never notice them having sources of metal because all their metals are supposedly piercing their skin. So it's nice to. This feels a little cleaner to me, at least, coming from that perspective. But it is like I think technically a retcon.
It is.
Oh, it absolutely is.
It is because Epigraph 36 did say, and unfortunately does still say, that Pewter steals the healing power, which I think is just an error because there was a change in Chapter 5 of the Leatherbound when they see the Inquisitor and that they kill in the opening, right? And that Inquisitor now has a gold spike. He did not before. Yeah. So that's new.
And part of the confusion too, I think, was gold Feruchemy was originally a physical feruchemical power. Am I remembering that correctly? And then that was before it got there was some confusion, I think, about where gold Feruchemy also lay.
So long ago, Brandon said that there were 2 physical feruchemy quadrants. Unfortunately, Brandon screwed up with brass in storing warmth and put it in mental and just has it weird that way, and that's just always been the case. And
because determination was supposed to, in theory, be the other mental attribute.
Yeah. Right. So and that's been like it long in the original trilogy. And so they haven't.
Yeah, that was book 1.
Yeah, that was book 1.
I think.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And that's just always been a mistake, really. But they're doubling down on that. But so the third quadrant is termed in feruchemy the hybrid metals. And so I always thought that kind of, superseded this idea of there being 2 physical quadrants. And I think this Hemalurgy table makes that very clear, that Pewter is not going to steal these hybrid feruchemical abilities. And that was just... Yeah. It's a slight retcon, but it does make more sense this way. It was weird that Pewter were stealing abilities from way the crap else. It's when Pewter already stole 4 feruchemical abilities, right? It just seemed weird to me.
Yeah.
There's one other thing. The name Temporal is certainly a misnomer for this part on the table.
Yeah.
There's nothing temporal about this.
It just looks like whoever was putting this table together, whoever in world was putting this table together, decided to take 2 of the allomantic quadrant names and 2 of the feruchemical quadrant names. And they probably went with the allomantic ones because we want to make everything match allomancy. And then, or maybe they went 1 and 1, and then they're like, well, I guess we're stuck with temporal.
Well, really, 3 are allomantic.
Hybrid.
because ferrochemy and allomancy share physical, right?
Yes, they
Yeah, but when I was looking at this a little earlier, the physical one comes from allomancy, I believe. Yeah. Because you have spiritual and hybrid definitely coming from ferrochemy, therefore the other two need to be.
Well, right, but none of these quadrants are called hybrid.
They should have named temporal hybrid. That's what I'm saying.
Well, right,
Yeah.
yeah.
More sense.
I mean, I think the person creating this.
No. Mento. Mento. It is mento in one of the systems and cognitive in the other.
Right.
I believe.
And we're saying in
yeah.
this Hemalurgy one that they're using 3 allomancy ones because it's physical, mental, temporal, not physical, cognitive, temporal.
Well, I'm saying mental and temporal, I think, come from elements and spiritual, and like physical in here is ferrochemical physical.
Well, sure,
even though the name is the same.
Whatever.
But yeah, I don't know if that's a meaningful distinction. But.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the person who wrote this was like, man, I don't know how to term this entire quadrant of things, so allomancy name, I guess. You know? Okay.
That would be a good question for
ferrochemical, spiritual, hybrid ferrochemical, enhancement. They're all over the place.
The only unifying theme I can find out of that quadrant is it steals like the non-base allomantic and ferrochemical powers. Like both systems kind of have the basic 8 and then kind of the more weirder powers in the back 8.
Esoteric.
Yeah, I was actually going to say esoteric.
Yeah.
But it could be the esoteric powers quadrant.
Yeah.
Well, I was reading the names in the temporal quadrant, or reading what they do rather. They seemed a little realmatic to me, or realmic, because you have temporal allomancy, temporal spiritual realm. You have spiritual ferrochemy, obviously spiritual stuff. You have hybrid ferrochemical powers, and the hybrid powers are kind of, I mean, they're not physical, and anything that's not physical is going to have a strong either cognitive or spiritual component.
Right.
And you have the enhancement allomantic powers, which
spiritually-ish, you know?
Yeah. I had a couple of years back, I tried to explain the enhancement properties of Stormlight via the spiritual realm, because if there's one line where it says Stormlight doesn't grant new abilities, it perfects. It didn't like.
Yeah, right. I remember that. Yeah.
And I took that line and I'm like, well, it perfects, so because of its spiritual component, it makes you more in line with your spiritual version, and that makes you like, that's how the perfection happens.
Right.
And so if allomantic enhancements are, so if that is correct, then allomantic enhancements are or could be along a similar vein. Which is also obviously a strong spiritual.
Right.
I am aware. I'm grasping at straws. Okay.
Yeah. So like the the quadrants on the Feruchemy table are based on the realms, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And that's why hybrid is hybrid too, because it's like
a hybrid of the 2 realms.
Yeah.
No mistake was made here.
Yeah. So like I kind of wonder if there's a way of, because that's not how allomancy is grouped. Like it's not grouped by realms in the same way. So I wonder if there is a weird way to make this make sense on the Hemalurgy table that we just.
What are the allomantic? What are the? I should really have all the tables.
I think we're putting way more thought into this than Brandon did when he designed
that is why we are here, though.
Welcome to Pedantic. There's a reason why I did the intro this way. It's like, let's talk about why this quadrant is called temporal here for 15 minutes. I think we should probably talk about the much more exciting abilities, though. Because these are the boring, this is the boring crap.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
the stuff that we knew was going to be there.
Yeah,
we knew these abilities would be here. So, I mean, it definitely was a surprise that all the stealing powers was in a single quadrant. That was that was unexpected. But we get a spicy as crap spiritual quadrant. Chromium might steal destiny. That's what it says on the table.
Or it might not.
Well, let's read these all. Nicrosil, Steel's investiture.
Vague.
Yeah, very vague, definitely. Aluminum removes all powers. What? And Duralumin steals connection / identity.
Wait, is that how you say it? Is it not
No.
Duralumin?
It's
It-
Duralumin.
They're
Okay, I
like
wasn't
5
sure.
ways to say
Oh,
it.
I've
I
always
had
said
no
it the other
idea.
way. Sorry, maybe we should have put that in the pronunciation podcast.
No, I just had no idea.
No, I say Duralumin. But this last one, it is worth mentioning that in the Ars Arcanum, it
Uh-huh.
says steals connection and identity.
Ooh.
I think that might just be a space saving thing for the chart.
That's what I think as well.
Ooh.
But it's
Although-
good clarification.
You look at something like gold in the chart, and like they don't need to save the space. Okay.
Yeah, it does say and. Very interesting.
So
Not slash. Ooh.
yeah,
Ooh, spicy.
there are let's overanalyze 3 characters. There are some slight differences between the Ars Arcanum and the Hemalurgic Table,
True.
worth keeping in mind.
Okay. Let's start with the top. Chromium. Might steal destiny. Go.
How are they
Okay.
uncertain? What are they? It's like, I don't know what it does. Like, we put it in someone. They were kind of like, do you have a new destiny now? Like, how do you have to wait?
So-
How do you test
find
that?
out.
So here's the scenario I outlined in some chat, maybe private, maybe public. I don't know. We've been talking about Hemalurgy.
You were getting very upset because there were like 4 chats at the same time discussing the Hemalurgy table.
Oh my god, I hate this
the
so
day
much.
when it
It's
came
been a
out.
week. Oh
Yeah.
god, it was
Yeah,
terrible.
it was pretty chaos.
No, it was like just everyone. Anyway, okay, might steal destiny. So destiny, it sounded to all of us a lot like fortune. Okay,
Yeah.
and so my idea was, well, this is an in-world artifact. It came from somebody probably during Era 1 or even pre-Era 1 or like pre like the books. A lot of this knowledge probably came directly from from Rashek.
Mhm.
And so what I think could have happened, I don't know if it happened, but a plausible scenario is that when Rashek ascended, he got all this information, and in his brain he processed the effects of Hemalurgic chromium as this thing steals destiny. Okay, he didn't have a word for fortune. Fortune was kind of just something people agreed on later on.
Yeah,
right? Because all of these words are, they agreed to call this thing investiture. They could have called it mana.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
I would not have liked that.
And so
No.
and so he goes, this thing has to do with destiny. And destiny and fortune are similar enough that I can see that happening.
yeah, me too.
And then further down the line, his obligators and his inquisitors, as they are performing tests and trying to find new metals and trying to find new uses for existing metals and things like that, something random happens. They don't know how chromium works. He doesn't tell them. Something happens when they are experimenting with Hemalurgic chromium and makes them. Somebody gets an idea that, oh hey, I was experimenting with chromium on this person, and I spiked the other person first. Here's my donor. Here's my recipient, and something that happened to my recipient looks like what was supposed to happen to my donor because of like a calendar schedule or whatever. Hey, maybe I stole this person's future. And so they did some more experiments where they were like, okay, you are now going to have a doctor's appointment on Tuesday with this doctor. And then they stab the person with chromium, and like, but they don't cancel the appointment, and then they give the spike to the other person, and they're like, hey, schedule an appointment anywhere with any doctor. And they're like, hey, he gets the same doctor and the same appointment in the same time slot, and we're like, oh, we stole his destiny.
Did they cancel?
I think you're overestimating, though. That example overestimates a bit the availability of hemalurgic experimentation. Like, I know you were just using it as an example.
Matt, I'm so glad we're both thinking, yes, random hemalurgic experiments. We have issue with that.
Yeah,
I feel like that's something the obligators would be doing like all the time.
No, it's a joke.
Just the Inquisitor. Like, I think it's very narrow who has access to like what can be done with hemalurgy, and so I don't think they're doing. Like, they probably are doing experiments. And I know you're just using this as an example, but I doubt they're doing experiments where they're allowing someone with a spike in them to go out and go to a doctor. Like, you know, like they need to keep this stuff really secret. Yeah.
I mean, they look like somebody who would need a doctor.
Yeah.
Probably do.
But,
I mean,
like,
you're not
there
wrong.
definitely was some experimentation.
Because like in world right now, like, or at least in Era 1, they thought that Atium stole, what was it, like, allomantic temporal powers or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're clearly not doing that much experimentation in my mind. If they have not, well, I guess they could have just like, never questioned it.
So with that, I think they just found something that worked. Like, they were experimenting with Atium. They found it steals temporal, and they're like, well, this is what it does, because all the metals, they steal one thing.
Right.
Or one category of things.
The other option is the Lord Ruler said, this is Adium, it steals temporal powers because he didn't want to give away Adium's
Don't question me.
I like that.
Don't question, right? With the Destiny thing, I can see that being the case, where it's like something they're still examining and experimenting with. But I'm curious on a meta level why Brandon chose this, because he could have said steals fortune or might steal fortune, and none of us would have questioned it. We'd have just been like, oh yeah, Furukami, Hemalurgy, it's the same. But for some reason, Brandon chose to use a different word.
And it
could be just him messing with us.
That's very possible.
No, it's really good.
But that makes me wonder if it is something different that we haven't seen yet.
I think it's tangentially related to fortune, because we still really don't know what fortune is, but it does seem to be tied to future sight.
Yep.
Whereas this is not stealing the ability to see the future; it's stealing a person's future. It's like
that's true. It is kind of weird.
So it's because we know that Kaladin was a good fighter as a kid because he was a good fighter in the future and was bonded with Syl in the future, and all of that.
Well, that's connection.
Stuff.
Not because it plays into effect, but it's Destiny is not as straightforward and deterministic as.
I don't think Destiny can be deterministic in the Cosmere, because Brandon's always said future sight sucks in the Cosmere. You know, like, I don't think there's a deterministic Destiny.
Then what does it mean to still Destiny? If it's not deterministic, then that's my question. Is it seems a little vague. If you can still choose your destiny, then why are you stealing someone else's if it's not set?
This is also interesting to me that this is happening in Scadrial, which is the main place where we have prophecy, and the the Hero of Ages prophecy, there's a lot of debate on its authenticity and how it came to be, but we do have an example, and there is a sense that at its core those prophecies were real,
right?
And that's like potentially a destiny that one could hypothetically steal with chromium. It's weird to think about, but like there is that element going on.
In that context, just as a gut feeling, how are we feeling about? So we now know that Seize was the Hero of Ages,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought it was Dalinar.
Vin also fit a lot of the requirements.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So are we thinking that, purely theoretical, if Vin had spiked maybe Seize's destiny with chromium and then stolen that, could she have fulfilled the prophecy?
Like, become Harmony herself?
Yeah. I have a follow-up question to that.
Okay.
What metal were Alendi's piercings made out of? And
Nope,
is it
didn't know.
possible Alendi's piercings were chromium?
Oh.
At least some of them were making him a better seeker, I believe.
Yes.
Oh
Helping him.
yeah, no, they had
Oh,
to.
yeah.
They had to.
He
They
might have had
probably-
yeah.
multiple
that's
metals, but
Yeah.
So to answer Evgeni's question, theoretically, yes. In practice, no, because she would have to remove the spike to ascend to preservation.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think these are written in world, and I think it's just really hard to test what fortune does. But I
Mhm.
mean, whereas like I feel like it'd be a lot easier with a fair chemist to test, you know?
yeah.
Like a lot easier. Like you're just like, I'm storing a thing. Okay, I guess I'll just
Yeah.
store some fortune.
Do you feel different? Like, yeah.
Like I don't know. But like spiking someone in the right spot, putting it in the right spot, and then being like, "Hey, what changed?" And I'm like, "Dunno." Like, kind of. I feel different because I have a frickin' spike in me, you know? Like, it's really hard to test with Hemalurgy. Fortune-like
And
effects.
It is.
Hemalurgy takes it is very easy to get wrong
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the spike
It
placement,
is.
all of that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a person's destiny can be very broad because it's like, oh, you're sealing the fact that they're going to get a pizza in 2 days rather than they
He's
become
my
the hero of ages.
destiny.
Yeah.
Another thing to keep in mind with testing chromium specifically is like if you're trying to use it on like allomancers, feruchemists, etc., because you don't know if it has like if it's a attribute based or power based, right? You're testing it.
Right, yeah.
Chromium allomancers are very difficult to find and detect, especially in the Final Empire times, because their powers are like that's a leecher, right?
Yeah. Those were early.
So
You would need to.
you'd be
need
experimenting
knowledge.
on Mistborn potentially, right? So that's a very expensive.
Oh, if you were trying to actually like
experiment.
steal elemental
like if you don't
chromium, for
know
example.
what, or you don't know what chromium does, and you're trying to figure it out, you might want to use someone who has allomancy that's related, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Or even assuming that anyone during Era 1 knew that chromium was an allomantic metal and that the Lord Ruler chose to share that with anyone.
Right.
The
Slash,
more
they had
the more we
access to
talk
it.
about this, the more it feels like it's just something that comes from Rashek.
Yep. Although, well, we'll talk more about who wrote the table later, but like the idea that in world the Inquisitors thought that Atium stole the allomantic temporal abilities, like that suggests that this is not written in Era 1, right?
At least not by
Yeah.
them.
not
Right.
by Inquisitors. Yeah.
But we'll
That is
talk
true.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this really comes down to fortune being super weird to test. Other things are much easier to test.
And also being super weird.
And also being super weird. And there's just some uncertainty there.
I think the use of destiny, not fortune, was very deliberate on Bren's part.
Yeah. That could matter a
So-
lot. I just don't know how deterministic future things are in the Cosmere, you know?
One other possible interpretation is instead of stealing a specific destiny, is that it's if you think of like destiny as like your significance to the Cosmere, say, and so you could like it's like a mount thing, and so maybe someone who's not super significant to the cosmic future of everything has a low destiny, and someone like the Hero of Ages or whoever or Dalinar has a higher destiny rating, and this might steal like
destiny
the amount.
rating.
Like a non-specific.
Yeah,
quality.
so you're not stealing like I'm gonna get this person specific thing, but you're stealing their like destined significance.
So less
I don't know.
the kind of the final destination of where they need to go, and more like how many paths they have
like,
ahead of them.
Like for example, like someone like Vin or like Dalinar or like Raoden say, like these are central figures whose destinies have huge impacts on their world, right? And so maybe you could steal that like significance and make your destiny more oomphy.
And we know that preservation chose Vin for a reason. That might be because she has this like high destiny quotient.
Yeah,
or
destiny quotient. I love all of like this is just hilarious. I can't wait for the chart like breaths, you know, with like the 10th heightening having this many breaths. It's like with this much destiny rating, you get this. Like I love it.
Well, maybe we don't know a lot about the 10th heightening, so maybe the 10th heightening also increases
high destiny. Yes, that's right.
Oh no.
How about we talk about something even more vague? Stealing investiture. We're 45 minutes in. We got through one of these spiritual powers. Great.
Cruising along.
Well, so with investiture, I actually feel like that might be less vague.
Well, in some sense, yeah.
We already have a power that manipulates investiture.
Yeah.
In fact, we have that in both ferrochemy and allomancy.
Kinda. Yeah.
You're talking about Lerasium for allomancy, or
I was talking about
Verlumen.
It just burns all the metals instantly, though. I don't think that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
was talking about. No, I guess Necroso doesn't do exactly that.
Yeah.
No.
I guess my central question is, what does stealing investiture mean? Can Nicrosol Spike steal any allomantic power you ever want, or any ferrochemical power, and more?
I will hate that.
I think it's innate investiture.
Yeah.
So so thinking like an engineer,
Okay.
having an allomantic power or a ferrochemical power to me is like a specific, or thinking like a biologist, like having specific genes in your spirit web.
Yeah.
Okay. There is if you think of a spirit web like a spider web, there is a section somewhere that looks in a specific way that tells the universe that you have the ability to do this thing.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
The physical manifestation of that segment is your ability to burn aluminum.
Sure.
It sucks to be you.
Burn aluminum. Yay.
And so stealing investiture to me is not that. Okay. You can steal that section of the spirit web with whatever respective hemalurgic spike is, because that is the purpose of that spike. That is the effect that spike has. It goes into your spirit web, finds that thing. It works like an enzyme. It finds that section and pulls it out. And so stealing investiture has to be something else. It's not going into your spirit web and snatching a few genes.
I agree.
Yeah. It's stealing the ambient investiture in your spirit.
And
right. So
which would be your innate investiture.
Question. Are the thing that Larkin do similar?
I would say no. Because they don't deal with innate investiture as far as you can tell.
Yeah, they cannot pull investiture on that level.
But you assume innate.
I also am concerned with this innate investiture business, because wouldn't you consider the thing that Hemalurgy steals with like Hemalurgic iron stealing like these human attributes, that latent preservation, isn't that part of your innate investiture?
Yeah,
I would say it is.
It's
like that's the thing that I don't like. Like, I'm with you. It feels like it needs to be different than stealing individual powers, but like I'm concerned as well, right?
Yeah, well, because with the internal stuff, like that's how I think that's part of, or it's implied that's part of how Khandra gains sentience, right? Like they're stealing human attributes, and that's why there's the sense that innate investiture is part of what
from that preservation
makes them sentient.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Because we know investiture, that innate investiture is often linked to sentience, and that's why like breath creations kind of have this human aspect.
Also
to
just
it,
the base preservation idea that preservation needed to use more of his power to like make humans sentient in the first place. Like there's
Yeah.
a more oomph of preservation. That
I don't know if
preservation
I agree
being
with that, but
the preservation
Yeah.
being stolen, like I don't know. I
Well,
feel like that's connected. I'm
like-
with you, Matt.
like conceptually, I guess. But the Kandra are people with a block between the cognitive and the
Oh, that's
physical.
true.
So like
Yeah,
they've got
that's
all the
true.
mind in there. Like they
Yeah.
are already people, and the spike allows them to think in the
It
physical realm.
bridges it. That's true.
And
Yeah,
Will's
it-
friend
okay.
helps
And it's
with
like-
Shendy.
You can be a Kandra and have like a spike that grants you an elementic ability,
That's true. Because
as we see with Palm.
Well,
that it's
I
not
don't think
that
Palm's a good
effective.
example because that
Oh
spike
yeah,
is weird.
why is Trellium not on this chart? That's what we should be asking.
Yeah, but
I don't want to. Yeah.
it's
I'm
enough
not
to
touching
point out
Trellium
that like
at all.
it's not the human attribute granting them sentience,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
she's not being granted a human attribute.
I think with Kandra, it's less about human attributes and more about just sheer amount of of spirit web
Yeah.
stuff.
Well,
Mm-mm.
think about it this way. What other things were human or were sentient but had a block that prevented them from thinking, "Oh, you just needed the Everstorm to restore that and then they could think again," right?
I don't.
Like
I don't think-
an amount of investiture to like bridge that gap, right? Like it is
Connection.
If we honestly want to get into this, like really, I also don't agree with that. But
Neither do I.
Yeah.
What does still say? Connection restored, identity
refounded.
refounded, or vice versa. I don't remember.
I think it's connection restored, identity refounded.
No, you can't refound identity. It has to be identity restored, connection refounded, because like you're reestablishing the connection. You're not reestablishing the identity.
it is similar, but not because of some like level, like quantitative investiture that puts them over into the self-aware category. Because talking to those singers, like saw in them, they knew what was happening. They had some dim awareness of what was going on. They were still people. They still loved their children. Like they were fully aware. They just had a block that did not allow them to think in the physical
Sure.
realm.
Sure.
So it's
okay.
very
Yeah.
similar, but it's not. Oh, you need to pour in 5 more breaths into them
Ounces-
to get them to the
ounces.
right
Well,
level.
yeah. There was some
and
function
Brennan
there,
has
for sure.
like said that exactly. It's like it's not just a dump of investiture.
Yeah.
There's other like evolutionary things at play.
I feel like the investiture didn't hurt though. Like you needed some
I don't
amount
think
of
it made
investiture.
them more intelligent, though.
I
think that they're already
see it as
people.
more a catalyst, as like the bridge, right? Like it's like a kind of like investiture conducts the sentience, or it like it facilitates.
It facilitated the reestablishment of identity and connection.
Connection refounded, identity restored. Okay.
So in that case, then, like if we're looking at innate investiture, like could it steal? Like if like the inherent human attributes aren't stealing sentience, could this steal sentience, and could you possibly like bestow life or sentience on a unliving construct using a Nickersill?
I'm still not sold on it stealing innate investiture
Yeah,
in any way, shape, or form.
No,
I
that's
think
fair.
This is
I'm
a
saying
lot more
if-
into the
like
into the
like
kinetic.
assuming.
yeah.
Yeah, like I don't
Like,
think
could
it steals kinetic investiture. So it's
Yeah.
this might be like your ability to resist thing. Like if you get more of if you have a chromium or Nickersill spike, people can't push like a coin through you as effectively, sort of thing.
Okay.
So I feel like the answer to stealing investiture will be helped once we actually see a Nickersill fairing.
I just don't think that they're stealing the same investiture. They're dealing
Maybe.
with the same investiture.
And
Well,
I feel like a
I
Nickersill
just-
fairing will be like a gnat. But
Well, I guess
like,
that's true. Well, like a twinborn, right? You'd want
okay.
right with Nickersill, because how Nickersill ferrochemy works is a subject of huge debate as well, right?
Oh my god!
Mm,
And like I'm sure they have to be connected somehow,
yeah.
Yeah,
right?
on some level. I just don't know if we have a good enough sense of what innate investiture is to be able to like understand if it could be stolen, because then that starts getting into your connection, and that's a wholly different attribute on this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
like,
true,
is your
right,
connection part of
exactly.
your innate investiture? is your identity. You know, like
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know.
So like,
But-
what exactly is this Nicrosil spike stealing? Right.
It's kind of two questions too. It's what is it stealing, and then what does it do when it's put in its
Right.
Yeah.
recipient, right?
Right.
Like, so it's
Mhm.
very.
One of the things that I was thinking that I didn't bring up yet was maybe it's like connection to a shard, but I didn't bring
Yeah.
that up because it's like that's too close to connection.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's
But it's like
identical to connection.
the I can't think of a better word than connection, but like
Like alignment, kind of like I don't know.
alignment to a shard.
Like, could
I
you?
think that's straight connection.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, for
thing
completeness' sake, I had to bring it up.
Yeah. One thing I noticed as I was looking at the ferrochemical table, because of the soul bearer fairing,
Right.
is that unsurprisingly, actually, the hemalurgic attributes being stolen match pretty much exactly.
They do. They match exactly with the ferrochemical ones.
With a couple of small changes. One, ferrochemical chromium is about fortune,
Specifically,
Mhm.
yeah.
which is and we have maybe destiny here.
Yep.
Nitrosil is obviously investiture in both cases.
Yep.
Aluminum is identity in ferrochemy,
Mhm.
and
We're gonna talk about that in
They
removes
do everything
abilities.
in Hemalurgy.
Apparently.
and duralumin is connection in both cases, except in hemalurgy it also picks up identity,
Right. Right.
which comes from the aluminum. And so because these similarities are so huge in my eyes, I think when we look at Nitrosil in both of those magic systems, we should be looking at something similar.
Yeah.
Like the meaning of investiture, I feel, is going to be, if not the same, then very similar.
What
in these.
exactly does storing investiture mean will
Yeah,
help us determine what investiture you're stealing with hemalurgy, right?
I
think
just
so.
at that point I don't understand the difference between a Nicrosil spike and an atium spike.
Yeah.
Well, right. You're not
So
wrong.
like, it can't be that.
That is because you assume powers.
Well,
Like you think
Get ready
Nitrosil
for
spikes
that.
steal powers.
Well, that's pretty much what you're saying.
no, we're saying that there should
There's
be
also
some.
the ability to.
We're saying that there should be some deep similarities to what is being stored with investiture in ferrochemy and what hemalurgy is stealing. We don't know how storing investiture works in ferrochemy.
Well, yeah, but like there's still it's on some level storing powers that hemalurgy is stealing with different metals here.
I
You know,
just
like in whatever when. So it feels like it'd be an overlap.
well,
To me, if that's what
I
it is.
mean, again, there's investiture is a pretty broad word, you know. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yes.
like.
I don't think we're gonna get any further with this, honestly. 'Cause I think it's just
No, I don't
that's
think so
why,
either.
like, I don't have an issue with them being like two different applications of investiture. That like, yeah, they're both related to investiture, but they don't overlap that much.
I don't know. I think they'll be pretty similar. But let's talk about aluminum. Removes all
do that.
powers. What? Also, how do you charge this spike?
And it
Well, you
says,
put it
and
through
it doesn't,
someone's heart,
it doesn't steal anything.
No.
Like I think it's the only one that doesn't use the word steal, right?
Oh.
Yep. I
Yep.
think every other one it
Oh.
says steals,
I hate
And-
asymmetry. Okay.
and this just
Ruben doesn't care
removes.
what you think.
I think it has the same effect in both donor and recipient.
Ooh, okay.
Well, there's also like.
Well, I mean, you kill the donor.
You killed it. Donor,
Yeah,
so like, they're just
the
like,
donor
oh,
is.
You
I have
kill
no
the
powers.
donor, but you also steal their juice.
I like my initial thought was maybe this does steal something, and it steals the quality like that you were kind of talking about before, Ian, to do with investiture, like the quality that makes you kind of insulated from investiture, and or like the quality that copper kind of pushes out there and puts it into the next person, and that's what wipes out powers in the recipient, but I'm not sure how much I like that. But that was my initial thought.
The one thing I'm thinking of is we know that when you put a spike in someone, like they don't die when they should a lot of the time because like the power in the spike is helping sustain them.
Right.
And so
Yes.
if an aluminum spike is not charged with anything, it should get infected. It should kill people. So it's
Right.
got to have on
Yeah.
some
It
level
needs to be
sort of
charged.
invested
Yeah.
in there
Yeah.
to be working.
Also, it's just stupid. I mean, to just have a random aluminum spike and then just as long as you place it in the right bind point, like there has to be a donor, right? I don't know.
Is it just like is it just like you like stab into a mistborn and you're like, haha, you're a normal person now, and if you take it out, you die. So like good luck.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Brandon has said before that, like, if you stab someone with aluminum, and they have like gold frucami, the gold frucami will not like heal that wound as long as the aluminum is still in the wound. You have to remove it first,
Right.
which implies that like that's not a aluminum spike. There's
Right,
like
yeah,
something else
right.
going on to make an aluminum spike.
Well, I mean, even if there is no donor, you would need to put it in the correct bind point in the recipient, right? Like, for some reason. But I feel like there has to be some sort of donor idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, or aluminum has some sort of innate property unique to the Cosmere that we do not know
Well,
or
that's
understand anything
possible.
about.
Okay, I kind of want to talk about what removing all powers means, because, like, if this is a table written by Scadrians, that means something different than everywhere else, maybe? Like, because Scadrian powers are pretty specific, and other powers are not, in some respects.
It could be both.
Yeah. I would say it removes any powers encoded in Spirit Web.
That would seem fair to me.
That seems so. I think the intent of the table, whoever was writing the table, meant all elementic and ferrochemical powers.
I agree.
It probably extends to more.
Although, sorry to backtrack a bit, though.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thinking about that makes me wonder about stealing investiture again. And one of the ways maybe stealing investiture might be distinguishable from the other ones is maybe it's more versatile in that it could steal other systems of investiture, like from other worlds. Because currently, I guess Adium does that,
right.
But Adium also includes presumably Nicrosil's effect, right? Like Adium.
right. Yeah, right.
All right, yeah, that's true.
We're gonna get to the god medal soon, guys.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it? Does it include? It says steals any power.
Well,
that's
yeah.
Good question.
Nicrosil doesn't steal power.
We'll talk about that soon. We'll talk about Adium soon.
Yeah.
But the example people often give during signings, and even Brandon brings up, is stealing on a Hellbond.
Right.
So we know that's doable. And then, the Sprint can break the bond, but we're not interested in the actual practical, pragmatic effects of what happens there. What would you use to steal on a Hellbond? Nicrosil?
I feel like that's god metal. That's like where I will probably fall on it.
Or could like connection do that?
Yeah, I don't think we know enough about the nature of the Nihil bond to say. Because like there's an argument to be made for that being connection.
It is probably a part of it, yeah.
Connection can do a lot of things. A lot of things.
Hypothetically,
I don't think it's only connection though.
You might need more than one spike to steal in a Hellbond. Like, what if you need to like spike the donor 3 times? Boom, boom,
or
boom.
you need just like multiple donors. Like, okay, I need this much connection to honor, this much to this, and I don't know.
Well, and then Brandon was talking about like spiking the spread in the cognitive realm at one point too. So you can also add that in there.
I don't think that was related to the Nihil bond, just whether you could spike a spread.
Maybe I could be misremembering that then.
But and Brennan has said like you would need at least 2 spikes to become an Elantrian via Hemalurgy.
Oh, really?
So it's like it takes multiple spikes, like does have precedence. But I don't think this would have an effect on your ability to awaken, because that's nothing to do with your spiritual web. That's external almost.
Are we talking about what do you like with aluminum?
Yeah, like so, like if you got like aluminum spike, you should still be able to awaken, because that's not encoded in your spirit weapon.
Right. Yeah, this is where things get a little dicey because different magic systems work pretty differently from Almancy and Fairchemy, right? With how they're like stolen and used and inherited.
Although, like, it is the same in that a Nalthian person, you know, has that slightly heightened level of investiture naturally, right? Than
Sure.
other people in the Cosmere. So, like, aluminum could remove like that heightened connection to their shard and bring them down to baseline.
But that's just innate investiture,
Right,
isn't
that's
it?
not connection.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's not power. Yeah.
Yeah, like
So I think the way that works is, so you have, let's say, a Scadrian, right? And this is how much innate investiture they have. And this is how much a Nalthian has. And then if a Nalthian gives up their breath, they
have
become
less.
a drop and go down here,
Exactly.
right? And then back in this scenario, if the Scadrian acquires a breath, they go up here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the gradation.
Right.
Sorry, can I go back to
Connection
investiture one
identity.
more time? I'm
Yeah.
just still like
Yeah.
everything we say about these other ones comes back because So, but investiture, what if it's like, again, kind of like what I was saying with Destiny, like an amount thing? Like Vin was a more invested, Elend was a more invested Mistborn than Vin, and Vin was a more invested Mistborn than, say, Sean or someone.
I don't
so
know
it
if
could
that's
increase
the
your
case.
overall, like make you a more powerful Feruchemist, Alamancer, make you a more, or in the other systems too, just make you a more highly invested or more connected or more adept.
more
in
aligned
power
to
set.
the shard.
Yeah.
I like
that might
his
be
alignment.
interesting.
But
Yeah,
wouldn't
but
you
that's
just
not a
also
word.
end up with
That's the
with that same effect by stacking? So that could give you a second iron spike, and you would get better at steel. You know,
But
like
this
that's what Zane had.
Yeah, but this effect could increase all your invested like properties or abilities. Where if you wanted to make like a orange just out of Hemalurgy, you would need 2 spikes of each, for example,
So
right?
so you're thinking more like a passive Duralumin-ish but weaker kind of just overall boost.
Yeah, like also like the difference in innate strength between Vin and Elend. Example, like maybe a Nixel spike could, or 2 Nicrosal spikes, or however many, could put Vin up to Elend's level.
It would just still seem to be like it's qualitatively doing the same thing. I wouldn't see a difference between it.
But it's doing
possible.
it for all of the metals rather than needing one for each power.
Yeah,
Just-
it's like more useful for sure. I'm just saying, like, I think it feels like it's still the same. We're still running into the same problem.
I feel like
with
these spiritual things, if they're applied correctly, could do a lot of weird crap. So, like, I think there can be some overlap, but
And
Yeah, you can have like a magic system that or a power that gives you healing, and you can also have Stormlight, which heals you, but for completely different reasons.
And I do wonder, like, this kind of brings me back to this wob that I'm not sure how canonical it still is, but about the Lord Ruler using Hemalurgy for the most
we're going to talk
dramatic
about
effect.
that. We're going to talk
Yeah,
about that.
okay, I'll save that for then.
Okay. There's also a difference between power and skill.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like
for sure.
Elend is a more powerful, like
Yeah.
and Zane Spike seems to have given him more skill with steel, sort of. Because like I don't, his ability to like float, that's not just an application of power. That takes like some finesse.
I think he
Takes
probably learned how to
practice.
do that by practicing after he got more power and more control.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so too.
Okay, but with investiture and with these magic systems, one of the things is the more powerful you are, the more understanding you sometimes have. Like Vin has an intuitive understanding of Allomancy. She learns it a lot faster than other Allomancers do. And with breath, for example, you get that too. The more breath you have, the more instinctive your use of commands and awakening is. So I think like there's something to be said that Zane's connection to steel is increased, and so it does increase his power, but he's also more instinctively able to exercise greater control and finesse through that like connection.
That is possible. especially considering that we know that with more power comes kind of innate understanding of how
Right.
that power works.
Yeah.
And this scales all the way up to if you ascend
Yeah.
to a shard, there are things you understand about wielding a shard
Right.
that you wouldn't otherwise know. It's also my impression that Brandon kind of uses this as a tool where I need this person to know how to use this thing. Let's just say that investiture gives them the knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just don't think Zane is a good example for this. I think he just sat on his butt and practiced floating on a coin.
Nope.
And yeah, like the additional power may have helped a little bit, but like I don't think the amount of power granted by a spike is anywhere near enough to give him additional, like meaningful additional understanding of how to use that power.
Yeah. Durlumin, what do we think? I mean, this one's, in some respects, stealing connection identity. It's like, oh, that feels so much more natural than all these other three.
Right?
Like, it's like, oh, okay, cool. I think I kind of feel like I know what that could do, maybe.
Yeah. Of all of these, I
Which-
think this is the one we have the best handle on.
Yeah. In some respects.
Which is not to say we have a good handle.
No,
on it,
but we have more
Yeah.
of a handle.
Yeah, I guess. I still don't like. I don't know how like it would apply. Like if someone from the northern continent got a spike from a leak, would they like know how to speak the language that he learned up growing? Like
I think
what-
that's
like,
a
I don't know
possible
how
application,
it
yeah.
practically would work. You know,
I think that
if you
could.
steal his connection.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, if you
that's
steal-
completely possible.
yeah. And if you steal his identity and you start acting like, would you start acting like them more? How different is that from stealing someone's destiny? If you start acting like them, if you're gonna
Well-
make
I don't think
decisions
you would
about-
start acting like them. Identity is more like your key to your investiture. Like,
Yep.
so like if you stole Alex's identity, you could access like metal mines he had created.
Right.
Oh, you know what? In that context, that makes more sense. But the connection
Yeah.
is, I think, still a little vaguer. But yeah, identity.
Yeah.
I think that probably allow you to use someone else's stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
I absolutely think that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because
so
we know you can
identity.
do that with like the ferrochemical spikes.
Mhm.
Okay. Should we talk about god metals?
I suppose.
All right. God metals. So just as a note, this writer of this table knows that atium and lerasium are god metals and not, something else in this. So this is a little bit more refined than just the current era 1 knowledge. Atium steals any power, must be refined. Lerasium steals all abilities. Begin. Have fun.
First of all, I'm mildly annoyed that we have abilities for Atium and Lerasium in the Elemency and Hemalurgy chart, but not for
Yeah, true. Yeah. That's true.
What?
The Ferrochemy chart doesn't label what Atium and Lerasium do.
That.
Whereas
yeah.
in the Allomancy chart and the Hemalurgy chart, they do. That's what he's saying.
yeah.
It doesn't say it in the Ferrochemy
Nope.
chart?
Want me to take a look?
Yeah.
Right
We
here.
have no
Must have
idea
missed
what
that.
Lerasium does.
No, we have no idea.
I must have missed that.
That is
Huh.
No,
that is-
would you like me to take a quick look here?
Well, I can just see them on the chart, so that's why I'm confused. But does it just
Well,
not say
They're
what they do?
on the chart, they're just not labeled.
They just say that
Oh,
they're.
I don't know. I never noticed that. I just thought they were on there and hadn't really thought about it.
Oh no, it's
I didn't realize it was paneled
Hey,
around.
what's up? I got my table. What's up? God metal part says it is hypothesized that if one could make metal mines, out of alloys with god metals, other abilities could be discovered. As these god metals are no longer commonly available, such alloys are not in use.
Huh.
That's
Why
all
does
it
Brandon
says.
not want us to know what Lerasium can store?
Because
Also,
I hate
Lerasium spelled wrong on this first table, but I think they fixed that
Oh, yeah.
later.
They also
But-
have two symbols swapped in there too. It's kind of
Okay.
a, yeah. I didn't realize that until someone pointed it out to me, and now it's all I think
Wow.
about. So
Yeah, I'm gonna put this back up because now I'm triggered.
Yeah.
Command strips, they're awesome.
Yeah.
Just so you
Oh.
know, they're sweet. So yeah, so
One-
I agree, Ian.
Can I bring up a WOB or is that not allowed?
Of course, it's a line.
doc, but it's actually from you, Eric,
Oh.
back in 2009.
Oh God! If you
And
think I'm
you're-
gonna remember, well, I probably will.
No, you're asking about Adium Steel's allomantic temporal powers, but this seems weird since Adium's a god metal.
Oh yeah, we
And
should
then
probably
back
read
then,
this, huh?
Brandon does a pretty long explanation, but back then he was already saying that they did experiments, very expensive ones, and they're what determined that Adium, which they thought was one of 16 metals, granted allomantic temporal powers.
Yep.
What they didn't realize is that Adium, used correctly, could steal any of the powers. Think of it as a wild card. So even back in 2009, the terminology he was using was it was wild card in the context of powers.
Any power, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like,
that is true.
He says back in 2009, he's still saying any of the powers. So
I don't know how much we can go off of in terms of like looking at other sources for what power versus abilities means for the distinction, because I know based on in-depth debates we have had about the copper mine that they are also referred to as like ferrochemical abilities at other points in other documents. Like I believe the essays at the end of Alloy of Law. So that's not incredibly helpful in determining what that distinction is. Sometimes I think.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're called like ferrochemical powers. Sometimes they're called ferrochemical abilities in various contexts.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah, they are called abilities. Yeah,
Which is why, well, but like, so it depends what you think abilities is, because some people think abilities is like the non-powers, like the human abilities. And I don't know, me personally, I think abilities is broader, includes powers and attributes. But
yeah.
So then abilities and ferrochemical powers would be powers and abilities. Then if
So
ability is
abilities would be
term.
like okay, so it'd be like a
broader
subset
term.
would be powers.
Yeah. So it depends what you think abilities are.
I guess
I am
maybe
extremely apprehensive of making Larazia more powerful than Atium in 80s magic system.
Yeah.
yeah.
What does must be refined mean?
But I think it means that
No.
Brandon doesn't know what refined means because it's supposed to be a pure metal, and I don't know how. I don't know how you refine something pure already. You're probably gonna actually make it less refined and alloy it with something. But
And in that 2009 WOB, Brandon also says when used correctly. So there's obviously this sense that. And back then, I remember thinking that meant, oh, you have to place it right. Like if you place it here, it gives one power. If you place it in the leg, it gives a different. But he could have been referring to this not refinement, but something Brandon calls refinement.
In-world, it's an in-world construct.
Process.
In-world construct, and they don't know. They're not into what the word refined means. Okay, the document's in translation.
I mean, they have a very advanced view of
metallurgy.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Okay, but
yeah, I guess that's true.
here's the thing. In the Ars Arcanum.
Yeah. What does it say there?
Of this very book.
Yeah.
Atium, which is an external temporal pulling metal.
Uh-huh.
A strange metal formerly produced in the pits of Hathsin. It collected inside small geodes that formed in crystalline pockets in caves beneath the ground. And then it talks about the allomantic effect of the thing. So the metal forms inside, like you're not getting some kind of alloy or refined would suggest that atium is forming impure.
Mm-hmm.
Atium with flakes of iron in it. But that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I think the word refine is just a little weird here.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's probably not being, when he says refined, he clearly doesn't mean in like a metallurgic sense, I think, but I don't know.
What other sense could there be?
I don't know, but like I don't know how like ATM would come out. Like I don't think it would come out impure. I know there's been theories in the past where like ATM was actually like an ATM electrum alloy, and people were trying to like make all the tables work when it was coming out. But I'm leery of making ATM come out, like be produced as anything other than pure ATM. I think that'd be weird.
I can't see that as a possibility at all. Like it's ruins investiture turned solid.
Mm-hmm.
Except that it is ish. Because if it was, we could still have atium, theoretically. But we can't.
That's another debate.
I'm
Yes,
not
that
even
is
going to
another
debate
debate.
that.
I hate all that. So yeah.
Well, yeah, so
Yes,
does Ian.
so do
So
I.
does Ian. That's why he's bringing it up. It's really interesting. The back of the Hero of Ages leatherbound has such a strange table of allomantic metals in that it still has atium and malatium on the chart and not cadmium and bendalloy, but it has the updated hemalurgic abilities.
Oh yeah, no, I was looking at that now because now it's kind
Yeah.
of ruined it as an in-world document that describes like what their level of knowledge was too. Because you're like, oh, well, that's got everything listed
weird,
now.
actually.
Yeah, because I was curious what it looked like. I hadn't actually checked out the Ars Arcana.
Yeah, I
but,
totally forgot to do that.
yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that yesterday when I was looking at.
So, in other words, we have no idea what must be refined means, and we have no idea what the difference between ability and power is, right? That's
Yeah.
accurate.
The other weird thing that I would like draw attention to is like ATM says it steals any, like so you can pick any, but Lyrium is all. So it's
Yeah.
not like you're picking one, like you're getting everything.
It
It
suggests
seems like to
that you
me
take
when
all of
you
them at
use
the same
it.
time.
Yeah.
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 Which then comes back to my question about splitting the spike. Like if you could just steal all stuff, then you could just be able to split it up, I feel like, and use I don't know.
Unless you can't split it up, like unless splitting it would just like it's like a soup. Like you're mixing, it's all mixed together, and when you're splitting it, you're just getting less of everything.
It
You're
could
not
diminish
like
stuff.
splitting up.
You get all the abilities, but like less powerful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whatever abilities
And
is.
I know Evgeni doesn't like this theory of mine because we've argued about it on the Discord. And it's mostly because my understanding is you don't like the idea of Lerasium being more powerful.
Objectively more powerful.
Objectively, yeah. But I do kind of wonder if it does steal everything. But like Hemalurgy, I think for me is more about precision and like picking the specific thing. So Lerasium, although it's a very powerful tool, it's not a precise tool at all.
Yeah, it's
So
the
maybe
opposite
it's
of
very like
precise.
it's unpredictable. Like how difficult is it to find a bind point for Lerasium that could actually make a usable hemalurgic construct, right? So like even if it steals everything, if it's not super usable in the recipient, it's still like I would say less useful and less powerful than Adium, which is so versatile.
And there's so many unpredictable effects. I will say Lerasium, like, stealing more than one thing is very indicative of preservation, which I like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand your critique, Evgeni, that Atium should be stronger in its own magic.
Or even equally powerful in a different way.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
But if you're describing them as this metal can steal 1 out of 200 things, and this metal steals all 200 things at the same time with like no downside to it.
But I think there might be a downside we know about, and I think that might be the distinction.
Well,
Like I think there might be a huge downside to stealing everything, and it might be just like maybe finding placement is impossible, something simple like that.
and also like there's a very practical problem. Lerasium's really rare. Why
Yeah.
why would you make a spike out of it? Like how big does that need to be? It's like I'm gonna make a hairpin spike through your heart, and I'm gonna get
Brennan has
every
said in the
ability.
past-
Yeah.
Brennan has said in the past that yes, you could make a spike out of Lerasium. It would be a dramatic waste of its potential.
Yeah, like
So,
And so
but
what I
that doesn't
wonder,
undercut the fact that it is seemingly more powerful in
Yeah.
Hemalurgy than Adium.
but I do wonder, that made me think just like, and I know you can't exactly do shard motivations and then that doesn't transfer directly to how the powers are designed.
sure, right.
But like it kind of serves Ruin's interest for Lerasium to be useful in his magic system, because that's like using like some of preservation's power in his like magic system, right? So it like drains the small pool of Lerasium potentially. I
mean,
don't,
this
say
is
that out loud,
this-
I'm not sure.
This leads to a whole bunch of can of worms because I've always been. It's always been so weird to me that Atium has the ability in allomancy that it has. Like, it's really bizarre to me in some respects.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
It almost grants you fortune.
Oh, it's
yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
trying to fortune.
yeah. All
Like, it's
feature set
intended
is.
to foreshadow fortune.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
No.
know that.
And it's like,
Which
how
I-
much of that was designed by a shard? How much of that was just intrinsic with preservation hooking up Atium into allomancy? How does that even work? I don't know. I don't know, man. And like,
Anyway, super interesting.
how Atium mistings even exists? Like, I'm just like, my brain's starting to hurt, you know?
Somewhat related question: are we more or less in agreement that whatever these mean, these are the metals that you would use to start messing around with other magic systems if you wanted to be transferring around, like being a doc or monk, whatever that looks like, or being able to use Cheishan? Like, is that
Well,
people generally think that, or
I
do we
mean,
think?
Trillium was super versatile, right? So, I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
I think god metals get to do lots of really neat things in Hemalurgy
Like-
if used correctly.
That's a good point, because we know Trillium was able to steal allomantic seeds,
Yeah.
which
Allomancy and Furukami.
and Furukami, which seems to overlap a lot with ATM.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Like,
also
almost
have
exactly.
we have a word of Brandon that theoretically, at least, it is possible to alloy Lerasium with something and gain access to Sandmaster.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Oh yeah.
Because presumably you would be connecting yourself to autonomy and then other stuff.
In some way,
I
yeah.
feel like these god metals, like, even though we're not going to see the effects of all alloys of god metals, I know we're not going to see that, right? That's ridiculous. That's not going to happen.
Mm.
However,
Yeah.
we will learn more about god metals because, like, the whole Trillium spike. By the way, listeners, Trillium is a fan-made name. We have no idea what that metal's called, but it presumably is about Trell. Whatever form that takes. Yeah.
Or I guess-
no, it was Lerasium
It could be-
and Bavadinium, yeah.
It could be Bavadinium, yeah.
Right. That's just a fan name. I'm sure it has a correct name. Right? But I don't think we're going to learn that for a while.
Or well, one day.
I think we have to.
Might be Trillium.
Yeah. My whole interpretation on Trillium has honestly always been that it was designed pretty specifically. It did not like naturally occur. Like when it was created, like it was created to be able to do to like be pretty flexible. But
Yeah.
And with Bavadine's temperament too, like what we know of Bavadine and autonomy, like you kind of wonder, would their god metal have some like almost like copycat tendencies? Like maybe it can like shoot off some like Trillium or Bavadinium that is kind of similar to Adium, shoot off something else that's kind of similar to what honors metals do. Like I don't know.
I feel like just these god metal spikes will just
They're
not
gonna be
obey the
super
rules
weird.
that we want them to, and
Yeah.
they will just have the abilities that they need. And if Brandon wants to rationalize ability, it's just like, yeah, shards can do a thing like that. I don't know. Like, how you hook in other metals into Hemalurgy seems like weird
Mhm.
in another respect, but whatever.
In Furukami, do we think that Adium can do more age? Like that what it's thought to do? Like is it potentially able to do more than just that as well?
I would say no.
I would also
Yeah.
say no. Fair chemists would have. There's
Figured
no
it out.
indication that when you haven't. Well, I mean, have we seen someone actually store age on screen? So maybe I don't know.
Rishek.
Yeah,
Rishek
but
stores
that
age.
wasn't in his viewpoint, right? So actually,
Yeah.
maybe not. But usually, fair chemists would just say, "All right, I have an instinctive understanding that this is a metal mind, and I can store a thing in it." But
And
maybe Reshek
that's
knows more.
Sazed. And that's Sazed. We do get Sazed saying that it stores age and that keepers commonly use it for disguising themselves. So they are using this ability.
Oh, okay. Then
And
that
that's
probably
what
would have been
he-
discovered
And that's what
then,
he
yeah.
understands it to be.
If
Yeah.
there was other things. Okay, all right, great, cool.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, can of worms. Oh, whew.
Yeah.
I'm
Averted.
still a little skeptical. Because age is a powerful and versatile and kind of nebulous thing, right? So it could fit. Well, no, I'm not as skeptical, right? Because in allomancy, you are essentially tapping into a spiritual attribute. You're getting a little bit of access to fortune with atium.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
And so
yeah, right.
having access to a different spiritual attribute, and age is not exactly an attribute, but it's definitely it definitely has a strong spiritual component. I can see how that's you only get access to one thing, but it's a very nebulous, very weird kind of thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, maybe it works. And then in Hemalurgy, that is Ruin's magic system. Atium is his metal. There, it can be more flexible. On the other hand, Lerasium, I would expect to be very, very versatile and very powerful in allomancy, kind of fixed in ferrochemy, and kind of fixed in Hemalurgy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
that's how I was expecting things to be as well.
Well, technically, Lerasium's specific if you can't choose which ability. You always get all of them. Technically.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
and that's why I think it's more in the application end, because like in the epigraphs in Hero of Ages, Cized says that, the power in Hemalurgy, or like the skill in Hemalurgy, isn't about how you use your powers like in Allomancy and Feruchemy. It's where you place the spike,
it's more
right?
mechanical.
And
Yeah.
it's more mechanical. And so that's why, like, if Atium can potentially, maybe it's really versatile and like bind points as well. Like it can be placed multiple different places. Whereas, like, what if Lerasium doesn't have a bind point that works, or it has one like very difficult bind point to use?
That's true.
Then,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
no,
very
no,
super
yeah.
true. Yeah.
I
it
kind of like
could
that
be on,
actually.
it could be on that end.
Yeah.
Like-
Because ATM's power may be, hey, you can just shiv somebody with an ATM.
It can
knife,
go in
and
all of the
and you
bind
get-
points, but Lerasium
you get
can only go one
something.
place or something, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta go in the nostril or something.
Yeah. So this episode is 100% going to be split, as you'll see. But right now it's time for Who's That Cosmere Character?
This character is from Roshar.
Menace.
Tien.
Tom.
Braze.
Void in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? Caw. All right, guys. You know how this game is played. You send in 5 clues to Who's That Cosmere Character at gmail.com. And then we read them. And then we argue about your clues. And then we maybe get them correct. And we get fame and glory. Usually Ian. Let's begin. Clue 1. The story in which this character appears depicts a strange device.
Bothy from Six of the Dusk.
No. Oh, all right.
Sixth from Sixth of the Dusk.
I think he goes by Dusk. Thank you very much.
He does go by
He
dusk.
does.
That was an
He does,
earlier
actually.
draft that went by 6th. No, it's not Dusk.
I'm gonna go with Elonoi
No.
from Secret History.
These are all excellent guesses.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Do you even know who that is, Eric?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I do know who that is.
Like, ooh. Yeah.
I know Ian's pronunciation, even
Okay,
though I refuse to
Okay.
accept it.
because Ben is notorious for being. Yeah, it's not that character. I don't know
Wait,
who
what?
that is.
Yeah, no, I do actually
So-
know what Ian says. Ben just has no idea when Ian uses Ahonic. That's true.
So the clue is this person's in a story with a device. Like, it's not that this person is with a device. all.
The story in which this character appears depicts a strange device.
It's the story.
In which this, okay, so specifically, I'll say Fuzz
No.
/ Bliris.
Oh,
Cool.
quick note. Congratulations on not saying this character is Rasharan. I'm pleased with the
I know.
first clue.
The honestly,
Well,
the
yet.
thing,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. I think people are getting really good at these, and so we're like being really impressed recently, especially. Clue 2: this character has light eyes and tan skin.
So Rasharan.
Oh, that feels like a trap.
It's a tarp.
Oh, it could be.
Maybe. I don't know.
Let me think. Did it say strange device or just a device?
A strange device.
Okay, are Fabrials strange?
I say so.
Ooh.
I would argue that they are.
Or like the Oath Gate, or like
Oh,
strange
Oathgate's weird.
devices. Yeah.
What does strange mean?
What does strange mean in the comic?
What does device mean? Really, is the question. we ask ourselves.
What color?
Yeah.
What color eyes does Nas have? Do we know? He had that shade gun. That was kind of a weird device. I don't think that's probably not him. If I don't know,
What's your guess?
I'm gonna say Nas because he could have light eyes and dark and brown.
It is
skin.
not Nas.
Well, you never know.
Is it Nikki Savage?
It is not
The
Nikki
other
Savage.
character.
Yeah, right,
Sorry.
right.
Okay.
Read that
I
Bands of
don't
Morning broadsheet.
Written by Isaac.
What was his name? Was it Ishik, the Pure Laker interlude character?
Yeah,
It
the
is
It's
fisherman.
not Ishik.
I'm gonna say Alik
It is
or
not.
Alec.
It is not
Oh.
a leak.
Well, those are devices too. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clue 3. This character has met a prominent world hopper.
Wax.
No.
Oh.
Prominent. Do awakened devices count as devices?
Would it be Kelsier?
Is that your guess?
Yeah, Kelsier.
No.
Kelsier?
Don't do
Okay.
that. Don't do that crap here. Not on this program, good sir.
What about Vin?
Oh no. I don't remember her eyes, but I'm gonna guess Shay.
Don't say Shay. Oh, that's stupid. No. I know you mean Shy from Emperor's Soul. It's not Shy. No.
I do say Shay.
What?
When I-
Why?
When I remember to say Shay.
Ah.
When I remember what pronunciation I've decided upon.
Clue 4. This character is invested, but is not very powerful.
Oh, did Marazzi meet Chris? No. I'm so bad with character descriptions. Like I literally don't pay attention to like anything about that.
Oh yeah,
Just-
yeah. No, I'm just ignoring the clues that I find inconvenient.
I promise all of this will make sense.
Adolin?
No, it is not Adolin.
Okay.
All of this will make sense. I
Okay,
promise.
that eliminates the guess I was going to guess.
I feel like the prominent world hopper is Vasher. Like I'm gonna stick with that. That's my.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to think who has met him. That would be. Is it Kaladin?
It is not Kaladin.
Okay.
Paladin doesn't have light eyes.
Yes, he does.
Is-
He does
Oh,
sometimes.
Sometimes.
I guess.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
I'd be
Is-
mad about that clue if that was referring
I
to
would be upset if it was Kaladin. Yes, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have,
100%.
I have a meta question.
Okay.
The first clue talks about the story this character takes place in.
Uh-huh.
Is it a published story?
Yes.
Okay.
In the Cosmere.
Character from Mythwalker, and we're like, oh,
The strange device is the boombox.
Oh no.
could it be
I
it be?
think
Eric
it
drinks
could
a
be.
glass of water? So maybe.
Eric.
I think it could be.
What?
But there's no prominent world hoppers.
Is
in
the
White.
strange device the boombox?
I don't know. I don't know what character this is.
They don't meet any world hoppers in, unless they count Trell as a world hopper.
I mean, Hoyd maybe is probably
still-
there.
They keep saying he's got a bigger role, and I'm like, he better be in volume 3.
No, I'm gonna guess Kenton.
It is Kenton, and it is the
Yeah, that's what I
boombox.
was thinking.
It is the
Because like
boombox.
Kenton met
Kenton!
Chris.
Kenton!
Chris!
Give me my
Chris!
boombox! Yeah, he
Oh,
met Chris.
Chris.
Come on.
Oh
That's a pretty
Yeah.
prominent world hopper.
no, that's
Yeah.
bravo. Who was
That's
this?
legit.
This one was sent in by Zaid, but it's spelled with an
Congratulations, that was
X,
a good
so
one.
I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
And Kenton has, tan skin, light eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And clue 5 is this character is the leader of a well-known group of invested people on his planet.
Okay.
And he's not very powerful.
Yeah.
solid. That was what I heard.
It-
whenever-
I can't believe it was the
good.
boombox. I should have known as soon as I was expecting you to freak out about that and laugh, and when you didn't, I should have known.
Okay.
That was
I should have
because-
metagamed it the other way and been like laughed that it was the boombox. Oh yeah. See, you guys don't know, but Grace sent me this one for an episode we recorded a long time ago. But then when David couldn't come, she's like, "No, save it for when David will be on the show, because then we'll have all the White Sand crew on it." So this was very specifically designed.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, no.
All right.
My Achilles heel, White Sand.
I know. All right. This next one is sent by Jonas Green. Clue 1. This character is not human.
So it's not the Kolos, for sure.
Is it human?
We can rule out one person.
Kokerly.
I'm doubling down. Is it human?
No, it is not human. Ian, what did you say? Sorry?
Kokerly.
No.
That, one of the ABR.
No.
Cocarely.
Wait,
No.
are animals characters?
Oh my
Yes.
god. We've had
Yes,
this
they have.
discussion literally
I just
in the
don't remember.
Coppermine channels that you were in as Coppermine admin.
But you forget that when time we talk about categorization, I literally turned my brain off. So
That's fair.
We also have this discussion every time an animal character shows
Yes,
up.
that's true. We do. This
this
is
show.
this is a frequent refrain on this show.
I had 5 months off, so I'm forgetting things. But yeah, okay. So not human. What about what's his face? Arklo, the
No.
Sleepless.
No. It is not Arklo.
Is this character a piece of walnut?
Is this a stick?
I'm gonna say Venley.
No. It is not Venley.
Just,
Clue 2. This character has shin eyes.
Odium.
Oh,
No.
Ulim.
No.
well.
What are you doing?
What? It's not human with shin eyes. It's not the other.
Oh.
The other.
You're a moving
Sleepless.
cat. I see. That's
Yeah.
acceptable.
my cat keeps like moving, bumping my mic and grabbing things.
Meow.
Meow. Anyway,
Shin eyes.
Syl.
No.
I don't think she has. She's nice.
Pattern.
No.
But
Pattern doesn't have eyes.
that was the.
Shin or otherwise.
Yeah.
Clue 3. This character is controlled by a shard who the protagonists view as evil.
Yixley.
It is Yixley. Boom. Yeah.
Who is that?
She's a fuse, isn't she?
No.
The other
No.
Void Spren.
The other
Yeah,
voice.
the
The female
Oh, no,
voice
it's-
friend. I thought
yeah.
of her and I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clue 3
yeah.
was Clue 4 was this character is yellow, and Clue 5 this character is a Spren, and it is the Spren who led them to Revelar.
Yeah.
I feel like Shin Eyes should have been like a later clue.
Yeah,
are-
yeah,
You either put this early and debate people.
yeah. Right,
You
right.
say
right,
this character has Shin Eyes and it's
Yes.
Vin.
Especially like the Shin Eyes thing, if it wasn't a Spren, would have been a better earlier clue. But since it was a Spren, because you're instantly thinking they're a Shin or they're a like early Spren.
Oh,
Like
with
if
the
someone
not
had
a
said, yeah, before that. So someone had said they have Shin Eyes, and it was actually like a person from Scadrial or something.
That's what I was thinking it would be.
Like that would be
Really
a
not
clever. Although you could argue, are they actually Shin Eyes if they don't? They're not from. I don't know.
Yeah,
You-
and they don't
you
really
could
talk
argue
about
that.
the eyes of other. Like, who knows what the eyes of everyone else in the Cosmere looks like? And they just don't like talking about it as much. Maybe.
That is true. Yeah.
All right. So guys, we are going to continue on with more Hemalurgy next time because we blabbed a lot. And so follow us on 17shard.com for all your news, discussion, theories, and fun that you could ever hope. More than you could ever hope. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube. Leave us a review on iTunes, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
I might have your destiny in here.
I hope
Caw.
not.